Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. A big thanks from Glen and I as we're getting close now to 55,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you're anything like us, then we're constantly buying games on sale, but sometimes it can be difficult to know what to go for. We're going to try and help you with that difficult decision. My first suggestion for consideration would be the multi-million selling Onimusha Warlords. Now, I completed this back when it was on PlayStation, I believe, maybe about 10 years ago. My goodness, I'm getting old. But this has the traditional Resident Evil style tank controls, but you can wield a sword. There's a lot more melee combat in here, and there's a very intriguing tale throughout it. The visuals aren't half bad either. It's aged quite nicely on the Nintendo Switch, and it's currently under a tenner. It's got the 16:9 widescreen support, so you don't have that horrible letterboxing, and for my money, this is one to consider. Did you ever try this one, Glenn?
You know, I never played that one. I think this has got a physical release in the Asian territories, so I had half an eye on that, but I'm not sure if it comes with an English option. Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. Right, my first pick then is a game called Sengoku, which is one of the Neo Geo hamster releases. Now these very rarely go on sale, and this is currently 50% off. This is a beat 'em up game where you can play either as a ninja or a cowboy, quite a strange combination. It's not the best beat 'em up on the system, it's not even the best Sengoku game on the Switch. However, for 50% off, about £3, $5, it's definitely worth a pickup.
Yeah, I remember playing this one in co-op. This is decent actually, not bad at all, and for me who doesn't really know much about retro games, this was still really easy to pick up and play, although I think you might have carried me for most of the game. My next choice is the beautiful Darkside Detective from Isometric Dreams. Now, this is a very traditional looking adventure game, but the core idea is slightly different here. It's split into 6 different cases. You take on the role of Detective Francis McQueen, but to be honest, the best part about it is the ridiculous Officer Dooley who's with you along every single one of these adventures. The one-liners and snappy writing make this stand out from a crowd of other point-and-click titles on the Switch. There have been a number of new cases added to the game as well since its launch. I think there are 3 extra ones now, and there's also a sequel in development, so if you're even slightly interested in point-and-click games, then I would definitely suggest looking at this one.
Right, my next pick then is a game called Night Trap. Now, I recently did a video on this, a retrospective on the history and controversy that it caused when it released back in 1993, and I'm highlighting it more as a curiosity than as a stellar game. It's an FMV video where you have to protect a group of girls that are staying in a house for a night by operating traps to catch a group of vampires. Now, not only is it 70% off, and it's worth it just as a curiosity buy at that price, but you also get a couple of documentaries with it, as this is the 25th anniversary special collection. It's worth it just for those, to be perfectly honest. It's a fascinating story. Oh, and watch my video if you haven't done so already.
Nice one. Yeah, it's for that price, I think it's worth picking up a little bit of history there. If you've played the Switch for more than 10 minutes, then you'll have heard of Devolver Digital, who are an excellent games publisher. They just don't seem to fail. They choose games that are so quirky and unusual, a bit like the game Ape Out, and always seem to choose right. Pkun Eco is another title. Many would look at the visuals and say, no, this is not a game that I'm interested in, but it's incredibly fun. You can play through a few tailor-made levels in 2-player co-op, but there's also a full-on single-player story campaign. I really enjoyed this one. I've got a review of this one out as well if you want to check the link down in the description, and at the moment it's a whopping 50% off.
With Halloween just around the corner, there are a fair few horror games on sale at the moment, and I'm going to shamelessly plug another of my videos for next week, which is a top horror games list, so please do watch that when it comes out. But the game I've chosen to speak about is the Amnesia Collection. Now, there were a few others that I almost mentioned, but I've gone for this one because at 30% off, A, it's a good deal, and B, I don't think this game gets the recognition it deserves, in that it probably inspired a lot of the other games on the Switch, such as Outlast and Layers of Fear. This has 3 games in its collection and is definitely fantastic value at its current sale price.
My next game that is a definite pickup is Machinarium, or Machinarium, from Amanita Design. It was originally on mobile, but don't let that put you off. Now, I've created a point and click video that hasn't yet been launched on the channel, but this features very highly. It's currently 50% off, and you take control of a very cute little robot. At the start of the game, you have to rebuild your body on a scrap heap, and all dialogue in the game is through text within thought bubbles. It's just one of those games that has a real character to it. It follows the really simplistic premise of just trying to find and save your girlfriend, and for £5 you couldn't go far wrong.
Right, my next pick then is a game called Shadow Fight 2. I'm big on my fighting games, I enjoy them very much, and I reviewed this one a while ago now on the channel. At 33% off, this is definitely worth a pickup. It was a mobile game, I'm led to believe, but any in-app purchases or anything like that have been completely removed, and it's a full game on offer. It's what I would call a thinking man's fighting game. It's very slow, very strategic, and I love the silhouetted art style of this one as well.
I was listening closely to what you were saying there, Glenn. Shadow Fight 2 is a fighting game, and it's a thinking man's fighting game, so that counts me out. Thanks, mate. Nice one. The next one I'd like to recommend for you is Sniper Elite V2 on the Switch. Now, this had a number of things which made it a little bit superior for me than the other consoles. I know people seem to dislike motion controls, but in my opinion, when they're done right, they can add a lot to the amount of control you actually have over a shooter. This has online multiplayer where you can snipe against other players, and having that extra finite control with the motion really was the difference for me. The campaign mode is enjoyable, not quite as good as number 3 in my opinion, but there's a lot here, and at 50% off, a definite bargain.
Okay, next recommendation then is the Batman Telltale games. Now, I've played one of these, the first one, because it got a physical release, and they're both 50% off as it stands at the moment. I was waiting for a physical release of the second one, but of course, unfortunately, Telltale games are no more, so I don't believe that will happen anymore. The one that I have played, the first one, is a very interesting tale where you play more as Bruce Wayne than Batman, and it really breaks the character down. His relationships with other characters, with Harvey Dent in particular, and Selina Kyle, obviously Catwoman, and your decisions, as with all of the Telltale games, have a major influence on how he copes with his current predicament. As I said, I haven't played the second one, but if it's anything like the first, at 50% off, they're definitely worth it.
This is upsetting me. Making this sales video, I've already bought 2 games. I'm now going to have to go and get those as well. Cheers, mate. Next up for me, and an ode to the man, the legend, Rutger Hauer, is the game Observer, which I reviewed on the channel quite a while back. This is from Blooper Team, and it's an adventure title whereby you investigate your missing son. It's got a lot of nice mechanics, this one. There's a system where you can search for clues using a lot of his augmentations, and it's a real psychological thriller as well. You'll go in an apartment block and the majority of the play is spent there, but also you can hack into people so you connect to them. This is actually a very scary game at times.
Yeah, what Mark's admitting there is he actually made me play half of it for him. Because he was too scared to play it. He actually asked me to play it for him, and he sat, his eyes half open, as I got past the scary bit for him.
Cheers, mate. Real men cry. Great stuff. So those are our picks for this week. Obviously, we're not going to have got all of them, and that's what you guys are for. Let us know down in the comments which games you've maybe picked up on sale and why we should do the same.
Yeah, just before we end the video, actually, there is one game on there that I'm quite curious about, a game called Blossom Tales. If anyone has played it, please do let me know if it's worth picking up, because it definitely looks interesting. Anyway, a quick thank you to our patrons as always for your continued support. It really does mean a lot to us. If you want to join us on Patreon, the links will be down in the description below. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.
Cheers, guys. See ya!